Okay, so let's talk about a company whose snacks you've probably eaten, maybe even have in your pantry right now. But this story is about so much more than just snacks. It's really about a global giant's journey, from a tiny factory to a leader that's now tackling some of the biggest questions of our time: profit, the planet, and its people.
Do any of these ring a bell? Of course they do. Copaco, that coffee candy that's a lifesaver on a long day. Bang Bang, that absolute classic chocolate wafer. Or maybe Energen, the cereal drink. I mean, these are household names, not just in Asia, but all over the world. But here's the thing. While we all know the products, the story of the company that actually makes them, PT Mayora Inda, is even more fascinating. So let's pull back the curtain and see what's really going on. It all kicked off back in 1977, just a single factory in Tangerang, Indonesia. But from those pretty humble beginnings, Mayora has just exploded into this massive global powerhouse. And when I say global, I am not kidding. Their products are in shelves across 5 continents. But get this, their Copaco candy has literally been to space. Yeah, astronauts took it with them to the International Space Station back in 2017. Talk about a long way from a factory in Tangerang, right?
So, how in the world does a company achieve that kind of insane reach? Well, it takes a seriously powerful financial engine. So let's pop the hood for a second and take a look at the numbers that are driving this machine.
All right, let's set a baseline. In 2021, the company's total assets were already at a massive 19.9 trillion rupiah, a huge number. Now, fast forward just 2 years to 2023. That number jumps all the way to 23.8 trillion rupiah. That is a huge expansion, and it was fueled by some major investments, like building entirely new factories from the ground up. But it's not just about getting bigger, it's about getting more profitable. And check this out, their total comprehensive income, basically the bottom line, more than doubled in just those 2 years, climbing all the way to 3.24 trillion rupiah. That is some seriously impressive growth. So, what was the secret sauce behind this leap? Well, it wasn't just about selling more stuff. According to their own board of directors, it was a really careful balancing act. They wanted to increase their profit margins without losing their massive share of the market. They tweaked prices, managed costs, and, well, clearly, it paid off big time. But managing a company this large isn't all about the money. It's about navigating a world that is incredibly complex and, let's be honest, often pretty chaotic. So how do they steer this giant ship? I mean, in their own words, 2023 was a highly difficult scenario. And just think about it for a second. Global political turbulence, supply chains getting completely snarled up everywhere. These are huge external pressures. So how do you not just survive, but actually thrive in those kinds of choppy waters? Well, the answer lies in something that sounds a little dry, a little corporate, but it's absolutely critical to their success. And that concept is good corporate governance, or GCG. The best way to think of it is like the company's operating system. It's the whole framework of rules and processes that keeps everything running smoothly and ethically. For Mayora, it's all built on 5 key pillars. And here they are. These 5 principles are like their compass. They make sure decisions are open and honest, that's transparency. They ensure people own their results, that's accountability, and that the company as a whole acts with integrity, responsibility. This whole framework really guides everything they do. And you can see this compass in action right here. When they're faced with intense competition, their response isn't to just slash prices. Instead, they see it as a challenge to be more creative, a push to innovate and do something new. That is a proactive mindset, not a reactive one. Okay, and this brings us to the next and maybe most important chapter in Majora's story. Because for a company that has absolutely mastered growth, a whole new question has started to emerge. This marks a major pivot in their entire mission. Because look, financial success and good governance, they're crucial. But in the 21st century, the biggest companies are being asked an even bigger question. What is your actual impact on the planet and on the people who live on it? And Mayora's answer is built on these 3 pillars. It's a promise that goes outward to the planet, downward into their local communities, and inward to their own employees. So what does that look like in the real world? Well, for the planet pillar, their decarbonization strategy is pretty simple and smart. Use better energy and use less of it. That means switching to renewables like solar and hydro while also improving efficiency with new tech. But their approach to waste is, honestly, it's incredible. In 2023, a staggering 99.5% of their waste was sold for reuse or recycling. Almost nothing was actually destroyed. This is a powerful, real-world example of a circular economy in action. And their impact goes way beyond the factory walls. Under their community programs, they're doing really tangible things. Mayora Smart is all about education, like building this reading garden. Mayora Health provides essential healthcare, and Mayora Care is about direct environmental action, like planting thousands of mangrove trees to protect the local coastline. These are real projects, making a real difference. So after all this, where does it all lead? We've seen this incredible journey from a local factory to a global financial powerhouse, and now to a company that is deeply, deeply focused on sustainability. This quote from their president-director really captures the entire shift perfectly. This isn't just a few green projects on the side. It is a formal sustainability roadmap. Their vision has fundamentally changed, and the key word in all of this is responsible. It is now at the very core of who they are. And this really leaves us with a big, important question. Mayora's story isn't unique. It's a sign of a massive global trend. As the giants of industry start to pivot their immense resources towards sustainability, we really have to ask, can the very same engines that built the 20th century economy be retooled to help save the 21st? Now that is something to think about.